Hi there, this is Motor Yacht Liberty. This is a 1998 of steel construction 50-foot boat, and we're here today at Port Saloon Marina to do a full walk-through tour of this fantastic boat. We've also just been out and done a drone video, and as you can see it looks fantastic out on the water, but we're going to show you all the inside saloon, living areas, heads, and all the navigation equipment this has, which is extensive. So stay tuned for the full walkthrough tour right here, right now. Hi there, I'm Jonathan Parker from Parker Adams Boat Sales, and we're here to show you this 50-foot steel construction trawler. Now this is a make called Succes without the S at the end, and it is built in Holland, and it's called a Trawler 46. So it's 46 foot long plus a bit on the back, which we'll show you in a bit, which makes it about 50 foot overall. But because it's of steel construction, it's a proper trawler style, go anywhere in any sort of sea boat. Very, very well looked after. It's a 1998 boat, but it really defies its age when it comes to the condition of the hull, condition of the metalwork. It's very hard to see any faults in the metalwork at all as we walk round. The decks are actually made to synthetic teak. The front section here was replaced by tech deck recently, but the side decks have been done for quite a number of years now, and it is in very good condition, and it really lifts this type of boat and really gives it a bit of warmth away from its steel construction. You can really get to an idea of the build of this as you go round and you see the Samson posts for mooring, and the way obviously all the handrails are all welded in, everything is welded into place. Such a solid boat. And this boat is actually built to do long distances, and this has a maximum speed of about 9 knots, so fully displacement, twin diesel engines, but this will do this speed for 80 hours with the fuel tank capacity it has, which we'll talk about in a bit. But this will do 80 hours, so a fantastic range, and it only burns about 20 litres an hour at that as well. So if you want to do long distances, it's a fantastic boat, and it's built for the inland waterways as well as out on the large seas, because not only can you fold down all the top parts on this to bring this under to about 3.5 meters in air height, it also has stabilizers, so when you're out in the open ocean doing 8 nights, it gets rid of about 90% of the roll that you would have otherwise. So it's a fantastic go anywhere, basically tour anywhere around in the ocean or in down into the inland waterways. So it's a brilliant continental sort of boat to really explore and have adventures on. I do like the anchor. So it's a drum anchor. It's a 1,000 watt Vitus drum anchor, just recently been fully serviced, and apparently this was done just down the road. There's some really good companies local to us here near Portsmouth, and this has just been serviced. It's actually got 50 meters of chain and a 20 kilogram anchor, and as you would expect, it's a bit of a beast because this boat weighs around 27 tons when it's wet. So when it's all fueled up and watered up, it weighs about 27 tons, so it needs a decent anchor to be able to hold it in any sort of tide or wind. Really nice, but you can see again how this is all fitted. It's all lovely way it's done. I like this raised area on the front. You can actually, it's a nice position to be, because looking over the bow, especially at anchor, you could have a couple of chairs up here as well if you wanted to. But there's loads of deck space on here, and what I really love is the walk round. So the walk round's really wide, and as you go round, you just feel like you're on a motor yacht. You really get that feeling of a motor yacht. I like this touch. So you've got side access as well. So these just pull, and then you can step off, or jump in the sea, as I would do in this case if I was doing that. And as you go down, you can see more Samson posts, and you can walk all the way round. And there's a large one on the back. And as you come round, we can see actually the rear part of the boat. So you'll see this first. So these are your davits, and then you've got a 3D tender. It's quite a new tender, 2023 tender, and that is going with the boat. It's got a Yamaha 9.9 horsepower engine. I think it's a year older, but this will come with the boat. And you can these davits are really cool because you just wind them up and down. So the boat will just wind up and down, and you can slide it in and out. Really cool. You may wonder what this is. This isn't a fishing platform. This is actually a sort of passerelle. So when you're alongside, well, it's a gangplank, I suppose. It's attached here, but when you're alongside, it actually you can attach it either side. So if you're side 2 and you're side 2 for a while, and you just want an easy access without having to step across, you can just plonk that on there. Especially if you're on some of the canal ways and things like that, it's a bit of a a bit harder to get ashore, and so that is really beneficial. And it's got the handrail on it as well. This is a bathing platform which has been fitted to the back of the boat to accommodate the davits, but underneath here there's a lower bathing platform which is about this wide, and on top of that platform are 2 additional fuel tanks. So you've got additional fuel tanks here, which complement the other 2 fuel tanks which are in the boat, giving you a massive fuel capacity, which we'll talk about a bit when we go inside, because I can't remember what it is, so I've got to look at my notes. There's a outboard mount here, and there's a life raft holder here. Now this life raft is due a service. It's out of date currently, but it does come with it, but it will need to be serviced. But it is a nice holder. You can get rid of it and get a new one, but there's a nice holder there for it. But as you come up, look, you can easily walk up to this slightly higher level, and the current owner has a little table and chair set up here, and it's another level you can sit on and watch the world go by. Well, I love this deck space. So many places you can just find the sun or get out of the sun, have a lounge around and just socialise. It's a great socialising boat. You can go up again to the upper helm, and now we're under a full bimini. As you can see, there's a mast. It's a foldable mast, so if you do go on the inland waterways you can fold this down. On top of here though, there's a satellite dish. So it's a Raymarine satellite dish, and it's just the innards have just been replaced. So you've got a satellite TV, and this will monitor and keep locked onto the satellites as you're motoring along. So if you've got people with you, you can keep them entertained down below if they get bored of the long passages. There's wind instrument as well to keep you updated on wind speed and direction. And this dome here is actually for a sat phone. But the sat phone is no longer in existence, but this still works apparently. But it needs a sat phone to go with it, so whether you want to keep it or not is up to you. There's another GPS, there's a floodlight on the back, and a rear camera as well. But as we go down under here, and we've got the upper helm. So this is one of 2 helm positions, and up here there's a mix with the navigation of very modern equipment and then some equipment that's slightly older. So it comes with a Vetus bow and stern thruster, as you can see here, and twin diesel engines. Now these are Cummins engines but Vetus conversions, and they've done about 1,800 hours. So I'd probably say 1,900 by the time the boat gets sold. It's about 1,890 it says on there. So I'd say 1,900 hours on each engine, and they have had quite a lot of upgrades over the years. Service wise, it was last service in October 2023, so it's kind of it's not due till the end of the season now, depending on the hours you do, but also it's had things like heat exchangers refurbished, it's had new water pumps, new fuel filter housings, so it's had quite a lot of upgrades over the last few years to actually keep the engines nicely up together. Had new stern seals as well quite recently, and so all the things that you would be thinking about that you need to sort of look at on these engines, they've recently been done. So really good and well looked after engines. We've also got a Raymarine C90, so a 9-inch screen here, and there's AIS built in as well, which is a Raymarine AIS, but as you can see this is a older unit, but we then have modern units with this as well. So we've got a Raymarine autopilot head unit, which is the most modern type they do at the moment. We've got a Raymarine i50, and we've got 2 of these, and we can do speed and depth on these. And then we've got a Raymarine i70, which we can flick through different options, so we can show a variety of settings on here, which are very adaptable and very useful to have up here. There's also a 4 kilowatt open array radar from Raymarine, and that radar arch you can see is fitted like that because you can fold it down. So again, when you want to reduce your air height, that's on gas struts as well, so you just undo a couple of knobs and then the whole thing just folds down onto the front deck. Obviously the bimini comes down and the mast comes down, and then everything, then you're at your 3.5 metre air height, so you'll go under most of the bridges on the inland waterway canal systems, especially on the continent. So very useful option to have. There is a 12 volt and a 240 volts socket up here, as well as USB and just a normal cigarette lighter, but also it's got a stereo system fitted up here. There's another one downstairs, but this is quite a new kicker system. As you can see, nice looking head unit as well as the light up speakers. A very nice looking head unit, I like the look of that, nice and shiny. A couple of neat seats up the front, so you can have a couple of backward facing seats, and the double helm with a bit of storage underneath as well. And this furniture is actually coming with the boat as well, so any deck furniture you see on here is actually being left with the boat. And we can come down and then access the boat one of 3 ways. So this is one way, we can just go down these very neat, slightly curved steps into the saloon. Now it's a very traditionally built boat, so there's a lot of woodwork around down here, and I quite like the traditional edge to the boat. Beautiful ceiling. So it's very rare you see a ceiling like this in a leisure boat now. It's really a very traditional, something you would expect on sort of fully wooden built boats, but being a steel construction, it's got a lovely mix of steel and traditional wood. So really nice warm feeling down here. We've got the lower helm, so we'll have a look at that straight away. But in addition to upstairs, we actually have 2 I-70s and 2 I-50s, the wind instrument here, and another autopilot head. Obviously the engine controls are here again, and we have a monitoring system for the Victron charger. And it's also, this has an inverter as well, so this has a Victron 3 kilowatt inverter as well as a 120 amp charger for the domestic system. The domestic system actually has 7 AGM batteries, so Victron batteries again, and they're 110 amp hour each, just for the domestics. So when you are using the inverter, there's a lot of capacity there to use when you're doing, again, long passages as well. The bow and stern thruster have their own batteries. There's 2 for the stern thruster, 2 for the bow thruster, which shares with the windlass, and then the engine has a battery each. But the 7 are just dedicated for the domestic. So there's an awful lot of battery capacity on this boat. All the switch panels are here. Obviously got the lower helm steering, and then obviously you can see the visibility all the way around is actually quite good. The only bit of visibility which is poor is at the stern, and that's why you've got your camera. So there is a rear camera on here as well. And you can see the Raymarine C140, so it's a much bigger screen down here. And we've also got a great clear screen system, so electric system which clears the screen. Very much what you would see on a lot of traditional trawler type boats. A lot of the fishing fleets use these. And remember that all the fishing trawler boats are normally made of steel. So there's a lot of leisure boats out there now that call themselves trawlers. Beneteau for one, Swift Trawler. A lot of people use the trawler name, but the real traditional trawler type boat are the proper steel built boats because they are used in anger. The fishermen use them, they get abused, they get bashed, but they're very, very strong, and this reflects that. So you've got a very strong outer casing with this beautiful wooden interior and leisure accommodation sort of facilities as well. There's a couple of neat touches, but we'll talk to them in a minute. So other thing I want to show you is the VHF system. Now it's a Sailor compact single sideband VHF. It comes with this handset, which I love because it's like a proper old telephone handset. But this is connected to a very, very large aerial on the stern. You may have noticed as we walk in the back, but if you just pop out, you can see it. Now that aerial has a 300-mile range, believe it or not. So this boat is being designed again with the thought of being out in the open ocean, and or even in places in Norway and things like that where where you can be a long way away from places. The VHF range is very important, and so you have this in addition to a normal ICS VHF. And it has actually a separate, which is quite unusual, DSC radio as well. So this is just for the distress calling, and that's a dedicated radio for the distress calling. So you've almost got this backup of one just for distress, one VHF which is separate, and then this very large range one as well. So a very interesting navigation suite this boat has. I'm very impressed by it. As we go round though, we did mention this actually has stabilisers, and they're called Coupe Nautic stabilisers, again made in Holland, and these were fitted in the year 2000 when the boat was bought. It was a 1998 boat, and Succes actually had the boat for a couple of years as a demo boat, and finally it was sold to the father of the current owner in the year 2000. And he spec'd the boat out in a very high specification, as you can see as we're walking around. But one of the things he had fitted were these stabilisers. Now these are fin stabilisers, and they take out, like I said, about 90% of the roll. You have them on all the time, whether you're in a sea or not. You just keep them on. They set themselves as soon as you start going, and then they just react to whether you're moving or pitching. It has a gyro in here, and the stabilisers react to that. And there's different sensitivity settings depending what type of seas you're in, but it basically tells you how they're operating, and you just keep it on all the time. It's a really fantastic addition for a displacement vessel that is made to go out into the seas. It really keeps it nice and stable. Okay, it also has a television, and it's a bit of a trick one because it pops up. So it'll pop out, so you wouldn't expect that on a boat of this age. This was added by the current owner, and the TV is only a few years old, but very neatly, and you can stop it where you want, I think. Okay, no sensors there. So you can have it any height you want, which is quite cool. And then you get to sit then round this seating area, and the current owner seems to like a lot of cushionage, but as you can see, it's actually in lovely condition behind, and I actually prefer the look without, to be honest. I actually prefer the look without the cushions, and then you have this curved seating area so you can watch TV, socialise again. The table is movable, so it's not fixed in this position. Fold up sides, you can make it into a bigger one, but this also comes out and turns it into probably just bigger than a single. Yeah, so a nice 1.5 single size bed, and so an additional sleeping area if needed, or just somewhere so you can put your feet up with your partner and watch TV or watch the world go by. Storage spaces, there's actually cutlery storage in here. There is actually another stereo system, I was saying, but very almost retro now. We've got a Philips cassette player, so you can get all your cassettes out. And there's also a CD player on the top, so you got your cassettes and then your CDs. I've still got some, I'm sure you have too, boxes of them. And then you've got a couple of speakers dotted around the cabin as well for those. But up here as well, there is an Eberspacher diesel heater. So it's a D5 diesel heater, and I forgot to mention we've also got the Navtech system as well. So the IS Nav 6 and ICS Nav 6. But the beauty of this, it will show you all the latest shipping forecasts and things like that when you're out at sea. It has its own GPS, so it picks up and downloads information from there, but you can also print it out. It's got a little printer as well, so you can print it out. Really neat. Coming round to where you are, Andrew, is a galley area. The current owner uses a air fryer, but underneath here there is a gas. There's a 4-burner gas hob. There's a recently fitted fridge freezer in here, and bear in mind the owner actually uses this boat permanently, as a residence. So as we walk around, you may think it's a bit cluttered, but that's because he's just got all this stuff on here. So just bear that in mind as we walk around. We have a single sink, hot and cold water, of course, which we have throughout, and storage as well. And as we then head down here, we go into the forward V-berth. So this is your first part of your accommodation, of course. I'm just going to get on, I'm not quite sure how big this is actually. So as you probably know, I'm 6 foot tall, so very easily can position myself here. So a nice size. There's actually a cupboard here, and there's an additional one on the other side the same size. And being this up this end, there is a heads in here. Have a quick look. This toilet is recently fitted and it's freshwater flush, so both heads, there's another heads as well, both are freshwater flush into a holding tank. Holding tanks we believe is about 100 to 150 litres, but to be confirmed. But works off the freshwater tanks, which are about a 500 litre capacity for fresh water on this boat in 2 tanks. But on this side is a separate shower. So this forward accommodation has its own separate shower as well as a head. So brilliant for guests, because this is the guest accommodation.
If you pass it back to me, but just spin it round, so just bring it, but turn it round so it's not pointing at me.
Okay, as we walk around as well, the Eberspacher diesel heater does vent out in every cabin, in every heads as well, so it does go everywhere. So let's walk through to the stern, and as we again step down, you can see we'll actually go into the main cabin, and the main cabin is actually laid out into a island style shaped bed. Nice big bed, loads of storage all the way around, very light, very airy, has an opening hatch which is one of the deck spaces, and of course blinds as well as curtains around. Nice open, as I say, I'm 6 foot, so I've got good headroom here as well. So a lot of our cabin spaces are quite tight for headroom, but this is very easy. And as we go up, let me show you, there is a third cabin. Again, this is used mainly for storage. So you do have storage at the bottom. He keeps this one as a spare bed at the top, but the bottom one can be used for a bed as well. But also in here, he's built in a microwave. So there's a Sharp 800-watt microwave in here as well. And again, nice large window and another wardrobe space. And finally, there's additional heads. Sorry. Again, a large window, sink. This is a shower as well. As you can see, the shower's fitted up there. And again, toilet with freshwater flush. Pop back up. So I'm just going to show you the engine space as well, but we'll just show you that in just a sec. Right, here I am down in the engine space. Now, don't worry, this isn't the only way to get in the engines. This is a quick access space, so you can have a quick look at the builders, you can have a quick look at the engines, and just quickly have a good check around before you head off, just to make sure everything looks okay down here. If you wanted more space, the carpet comes up and there's panels everywhere, all around, that you can lift up to get access to wherever you want. This space gives you good access actually to the fuel shutoffs for the engines. So there's actually direct engine inspection hatches as well as shutoffs as well. So you've got your 2 fuel tanks here. And these Cummins engines are 2 6BT engines, and they're 5.9 litres in capacity each. Obviously on normal gearboxes on shaft drive, and as I said, these stern seals were replaced in the last couple of years. And the heat exchangers were refurbished as well a few years ago. So a lot of the things that you need to do down here have been done, and they just need a good looking after now. But fuel tank wise, just let me show you. I've got it written down. So the fuel tanks, there's 4 fuel tanks like I said, but they do have a total capacity of 1,650 litres in the fuel tanks. And so that's 850 in the main tank. There's a 400 litre tank, there's a draw tank as well, which feeds to then the engines, and then there's 400 litres in the 2 rear tanks. And like I said, this boat runs at 20 litres an hour, so it gives it an 80-hour cruising range, a really high capacity. And that, if you equate it to 8 knots, is about 640 nautical miles you can go on a tank of fuel. That's quite good quick maths, wasn't it? If it's right, someone will probably tell me I'm completely wrong. But as you can see, look, you can get the water strainers as well. The seacocks are just down there. So the things you want to check quickly when you first start the engines, water flow, checking for weed, things like that, is very easy to do. So this boat is really built as not only a liveaboard, not only as a leisure boat, because you've got all this socialising area, not only as an inland waterways boat, because of its construction, its design, but also a really good seagoing boat, an adventure boat. And if you want to go away with your family or go away with a group of friends for long holidays and doing long passages, or even just give up life, move on to a boat and just get away, this is a fantastic boat for doing that. Completely solid steel construction, reliable diesel engines, lots of navigation, and it's just a fantastic all-rounder. So please come and see this boat on our website as well. We've done a drone video as well. I suspect that'll be out at the same time as this video, so you can see it out on the water. Come and see us on our website, and don't forget to subscribe to the other videos on our YouTube channel. And we've done well over 250, I would suspect now. Any makes and models, so come and see us, but I think for now I'll say goodbye, and if there's anything I've missed, no, I'm getting a shaking of the head, so that's good, we're all happy. So thank you, Andrew, for doing the filming today, and I'll see you then on the next video. So thanks very much.